Hi there, it's David John, the Resourceful Coach, and we're going to do another sort of lesson today on winter golf, and we're going to talk about the difference between maybe using irons, long irons, or maybe using your hybrid in these conditions. And we're going to look at two things. We're going to look at the lie of the ball. So if the lie of the ball isn't great, and I know a lot of countries, especially in the UK here, we have winter rules, which means you can sort of prefer the lie. So you can sort of get a little bit away from this, but sometimes you do end up in bad lies, and that's just what you get. And the second thing we're going to look at a little bit windy conditions and how the two clubs might work in those two different environments. So I would say to you as a golfer, majority of you nowadays, I'd say probably do use the hybrids more than the long irons, and it's probably speed of swing. If you are a golfer with not tremendous amounts of club head speed, you may find something like a 3, 4, 5, even 6 hybrid, you start to get better results. If you've got a little bit more club head speed, you may find the 4 iron is good. If I'm honest, as I'm playing more and more, if I go back to my golf when I was probably in my 30s, that was probably playing my best golf, I would use a long iron. I was happy with that, really happy hitting those sort of clubs. Nowadays, I'm in my sort of early 50s, I'm finding it a little bit easier to hit a hybrid. And I'm all about finding the club that's easiest for you. So we're going to look at a sort of couple of things, as I said, look at it what it's like off a sort of an indifferent lie and how you may find one club's a little bit more of an advantage, and then in the windy conditions how that may be different, and you may find that works for you. So you can see the lie we've got here. It's a little bit bald. We've put a picture there on the screen for you. And I would always say if you've got a lie there's not a lot of grass around the ball, but you've still got clean entry into the back of the ball, if it's hard ground, summer ground, I think you can play either. When you get round to the winter though, I would actually probably prefer to hit my hybrid. And the reason for that, and I nearly said this, the sole reason is the sole of the club. When we look at an iron, I've got my 4 iron here, it's quite a small bottom to the club. You've got to be a little bit more precise when you hit it. With the bigger sole, it will slide through the ground a little bit easier. Okay, but you know through my videos I'm always very much a person that says to you, look, find the club that works for you better. So if I was honest and I looked at that particular lie that we've shown you, I'd leave the 4 iron out. Okay, I'd be more inclined to take the hybrid, and the reason is solely that sole of the club is going to go through that ground a little bit better, and I'll get a better result from that position. That's what I feel personally, and again, go and practice it. But from there, I mean, that's come off that lie absolutely fine. Okay, really happy with that. Okay, if I put the iron in there and we put it in a similar position, straight away, just the look of the club, it just doesn't look inviting. Okay, but if that's the only club that you've got, again, commit to the idea, make sure you're playing the shot with a lot of commitment, play it up there, give it your positive attention, see what we get. And on that occasion, I have actually hit quite a nice shot. But the biggest thing with both of those shots, what I did have, which is always a great advantage, and again, winter golf, prefer that lie, I had a clean entry into the back of the ball. And what I mean by that, there was no grass stuck behind the ball. And as soon as I get that, it becomes that much easier to get the result. All right, we're going to look a little bit now at technique, okay, on this shot. So we're going to look at it from a different angle, and look more for what we call a face-on angle, and talk about ball position and how important that is, but then also talk about what if you had windy conditions and which one of those clubs may be a better option in the windy conditions. So what we've set up now is just an idea of ball position, and again, I'm always, as I said to you from the very start of this video, is find what works for you. That's the key thing. Now, whenever I play a slightly longer club, I mean, I get asked this question, where do you change your ball position? And I would play my ball position pretty central from my pitching wedge, if I'm hitting a full shot, all the way through to probably my 6 iron. I don't change it. Again, we're back to that word, consistency. So if I was playing a 6 iron, I'll put this red plank here. That's pretty central to my stance. Now, as I move to these clubs, as I said, I've got my 4 iron and I've got my hybrid, I now start to move the ball a little bit further forward. And the reason why I do this is as the shaft gets longer, which it will do, and you start to feel like you're transferring your weight, it's very easy for the handle of the club now, if I play it in the centre of my stance, to be ahead of the golf ball. And what you end up finding then is two things. One, it pushes the ball to the right, and the second thing is it slightly, in that position, starts to take a little bit of loft off the club. Now, a lot of you, when you're hitting a long iron, I'd say the biggest failing is we get that position and then they start to lean back and try to help the ball up into the air. So what I do, I move the ball about a ball width forward. So if that's central, I'm just moving it a ball width forward. You can see now my left foot closer to the red plank. And the idea now is that the handle is going to come in much more level with the ball. Okay, it's not going to feel so far ahead of the ball. At the most, I want to be at the front of the golf ball. And because then the natural arc, it feels like it's going to allow me to clear my body and get more through the ball. And that's what I feel. Okay, that's the key thing. It's what I feel. Give the ideas a go. Okay, now, from the wind to lie, if we now look at it and say, what are we looking to do here? And maybe we're going to hit a ball, say, into the wind, which is a common thing. I'm out here today, there's a little bit of wind. I've put the camera in a position so it doesn't get blown over on the practice ground here. But I might now move the ball slightly back in my stance. The problem with that is with a 4-iron, the further you put the ball back, what that's going to do to my shot is it's going to de-loft the club. Now, I haven't got a lot of loft on my 4-iron in the first place. We're probably looking now early 20 degrees of loft. You start to take that off, you're sort of maybe even getting to high teens. But here's the other thing we talked about. If I put it back in my stance, look where the handle goes, way ahead. The more the handle goes ahead, if you take a right angle to that handle, my golf ball is going to go way to the right. So if you are going to do this and play the ball back in your stance, here's the most important tip. Okay, now you're told to do this when you chip. If you put the ball back in your stance, you're told to maybe then have a slightly open stance. Do the same when you're doing it with a long iron or a punching shot into the wind. So it feels now, yes, it feels like I put the ball back in my stance, but now I need to open that stance slightly. Now to the camera, that will look like that's back in the middle of my stance. But relative to where my feet are and where the ball is, that ball is now nearer my back foot. Okay? So now what's going to happen is when I hit that ball, I'm going to be hitting down on the ball because I've put it back in my stance. But look where the handle is. It's come back to that line. So if I do that and punch it on that line, I now will hit a dead straight shot. But what I'm going to hit is a much lower ball flight, which is great for windy conditions. So you can play that and play around with that idea. And you can see, I'll take a picture of it, but we're taking quite a big divot there as we've gone through the shot to get the result that we've done there because we're hitting down on the ball. Now that's great if you want to hit it low. The difference with your hybrid is, if we go to the hybrid and you're playing windy conditions, a hybrid is designed to help you get the ball up in the air. So the difficulty I always find now, if I play that same shot with that and I do that, because of the design of the club, I can come down and sometimes you can hit a little bit high off the top of the club and you lose a lot of distance. Actually, it feels like you would off a tee, you might semi-sky the ball. So windy conditions, I would probably favour, playing into the wind that is, I'd favour my longer iron. If it's a calm day, good lie, no real wind out on the golf course, I'd probably favour my hybrid for the shot. Okay, so, but as I always say to you, go to the practice ground and practice these ideas. So I would be more inclined to play this where we should do conventionally, but the downside then is I'm going to get a lot more height on the shot, so the wind might affect the ball. But if you're confident with that and you can get the result and you can get enough distance through the air, go for it. I mean, that's the important thing. So for me, when we look at these shots, it's look at the lie, look at the conditions that you've got. If you've got clean entry into the back of the ball, that gives you options to do exactly what you want to do. If you're in thick rough, okay, that 4-iron probably isn't going to come out very well. Your best bet is just get the ball back in play with, say, maybe something like an 8 or a 9-iron. If it's not too drastic, here's a good thing. The hybrid, because it's a round head, and even if you've got something like a 7 or even a 9 wood, some of you have got now, you'll find that that will go through that thicker grass a lot easier than an iron. An iron, sort of because it's square, gets a bit caught up. So again, another little tip there. If you are in light rough, winter conditions, go in there with like a 7 wood, a nice lofted hybrid. Because of its round shape, it will slide through the grass a lot easier than an iron. But if it's really bad, just get a wedge or a 9-iron, get yourself back into play. That's the key thing on that side. So if I'm honest, as I play in the winter, I'd always use my hybrid. I feel happier with that unless the conditions say I've got to change. If it's a standard day, there's my ball position, just slightly forward of centre. Handle is level with the ball. From there, and I'm just going to keep my rhythm, consistent rhythm, back, through. And these are all going up the practice ground today, probably about 180. I mean, we're talking middle of December now, so it's not the warmest of days. It's not going to fly as far. And we've done on previous videos, shown you that that's important to understand, that you don't look at it and think, yeah, I've got to hit it as far as I was in the summer. You've got to sort of set your game. Know your winter distances to your summer distances. But if you can get that feel of the swing, you're going to win. As in, I love my hybrid. It's one of the easiest clubs to hit. And if I can hit it like that every time, I'll be really happy. So hopefully there, we've given you some ideas of sort of look at the lie, look at the conditions, but what you can do with those different clubs. That importance, if you are trying to punch the ball, not even just with a 4-iron, you might be doing it with a 7-iron. If you're playing it back in your stance, open that stance slightly like you would a pitch shot, and the fact that you're hitting down on the ball will push it back online. Okay? We maybe do another video sort of explaining that a little bit more advanced, another lesson. But just play around with that idea. That for me was a trial and error thing I did as a junior. I found that I put it back in my stance and block it right every time. And then learned to open the stance up, and it transformed that shot. So just bring the body round a touch, hit it down that line, as I said, go to the practice ground, do it probably with a 7 or a 6-iron at first. And then if you do use the longer irons, the 5s and the 4s, have a bit of fun with it. Really enjoy it and get the results you want from there. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please subscribe to the channel. Okay, share it with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you soon.